Good morning, everybody. Hope you all are having a wonderful Sunday morning. My name is Joey Mayo. I'm the worship leader here at Blue Springs Woods Chapel, and I'm so glad to be able to be in worship with you this morning. I invite you all to stand for our first song of worship. This is Amazing Grace. 1, 2, 3, 4. Amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you will take my place, that you will bear my cross, you will lay down your life, that I will be set free. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Shout this out. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Take
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. If you're new, welcome. There is a place for you here.
We are a group of people doing our best to love God and those around us.
Our vision is to build transforming communities where everyone is included, accepted, and loved.
All of us are on a journey.
This is a place where you can ask difficult questions about faith and life.
We are here to help and support each other.
Grab a cup of coffee and make yourself at home.
If you have any questions, find someone with a green name tag. They'd be happy to help you.
Thanks for joining us.
No matter who you are or where you're from, we want you to know that you are welcome.
Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Press play.
Jesus, we know we belong here because of your love for us that goes on and on forever. Jesus, we know you are with us wherever we go. You're there, we'll always be together.
So sing along with me for all the joy he brings.
It's going down. Get in the mix.
We're not stopping.
Get in the
The
mix.
party's hopping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say it's time to press play.
Get in the
The
mix.
beat is dropping.
Get in the mix.
Feet are stomping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say it's time to press play.
Oh, oh, oh.
Press play. Press play.
Jesus, we know we belong here because of your love for us that goes on and on forever. Jesus, we know you are with us wherever we go. You're there, we'll always be together.
So sing along with me for all the joy he brings.
It's going down. Get in the mix.
We're not stopping.
Get in the
The
mix.
party's hopping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say it's time to press play.
Get in the
The
mix.
beat is dropping.
Get in the mix.
Feet are stomping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say it's time to press play.
Oh, oh, oh.
Press play.
Oh, oh, oh.
Press play.
Oh, oh.
Press play.
Oh, oh.
Press play. All right, all right, all right. We're gonna break it down one time, y'all. You gotta sing it out with all you got. Y'all ready? Come on, come on. Clap your hands like this. Have confidence to get in the mix. Clap your hands like this. Have confidence to get in the mix. Now clap your hands like this. Like this. Have confidence to get in the mix. Now clap your hands like this. Like this. Everybody get in the mix.
Get in the mix.
We're not stopping.
Get in the
The
mix.
party's hopping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say it's time to press play.
Get in the
The
mix.
beat is dropping.
Get in the mix.
Feet are stomping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say
rhythm in my heart and in my soul. Got a reason for this joy I can't control. I wanna sing, I wanna dance, and give everyone a chance to hear about this endless love I know. Oh, what you give to me is not for me to keep, it's for the world to see your love. Every day you're giving me your kindness. Every day you're giving me your love. Oh, with every single breath I am reminded that what you give is more than enough. So I'll give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. Give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. Yeah, you make me shine, you make me glow. You pick me up when I am feeling low. I wanna sing, I wanna dance, and give everyone a chance to hear about this endless love I know. Oh, what you give to me is not for me to keep, it's for the world to see your love. Every day you're giving me your kindness. Every day you're giving me your love. Oh, with every single breath I am reminded that what you give is more than enough. So I'll give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. Give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. Can't keep it to myself, gotta share it with someone else. Your kindness overwhelms my heart, my heart. Can't keep it to myself, gotta share it with someone else. Your kindness overwhelms my heart, my heart. Oh, what you give to me is not for me to keep, it's for the world to see your love. Every day you're giving me your kindness. Every day you're giving me your love. Oh, with every single breath I am reminded that what you give is more than enough. So I'll give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. Give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. Give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away. Give a little kindness, give a little kindness, give a little love away.
Thank you so much, kids. That was awesome. Woo! Give it up for the kids. Man, I don't know why we're up here. I think we should have the kids do it every Sunday. How's that sound? Well, thank you guys so much for the worship this morning. I invite you all to stand up for that continuation of the worship. One second. Now y'all can hear me.
was your foe, still your love fought me. You have been so good to me. And I felt the worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so kind to me. Mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down.
Y'all may be seated.
Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Are y'all ready? Yeah. Are y'all ready? Yeah. Y'all ready? Yeah. Press.
Oh, I was ready.
Jesus, we know we belong here because of your love for us that goes on and on forever. Jesus, we know you are with us wherever we go. You're there, we'll always be together.
So sing along with me for all the joy he brings.
It's going down. Get in the mix.
We're not stopping.
Get in the
The
mix.
party's hopping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say it's time to press play.
Get in the
The
mix.
beat is dropping.
Get in the mix.
Feet are stomping.
Get in the mix.
Everybody say
Jesus, we know we belong here.
Yeah, we'll clap to that. Good morning. My name is Michael Scott, and I am the pastor here. And I want to thank you for being with us. And this week, as you can see, was church camp. Now, how many of you went to church camp, or as we used to call it, vacation Bible school when you were growing up? Right? I mean, I learned so much about my faith, about spirituality, and about God, and about my community going to VBS or church camp when I was a kid. Now, when I was young, it was like VBS, and I got older, it was camp, and then now we call it camp because we don't know what to call it otherwise. And so we just said, like, it's camp, it's fun. We come and we learn, and we're excited about it. Now, I learned, I don't know, probably everything I know about faith up until I was probably 12 years old was usually from VBS. Because on Sunday mornings, I like to be in church, so I wasn't in Sunday school. How many of you went to church and there was a Sunday school, right? You went and learned. Actually, church was like 6 hours long on Sunday morning. Now we got it down to like, 50 minutes, but it used to be like 6, like it was an event. Like that's what you spend all Sundays. Some of us still do, but I learned so much from my VBS. Now, how many of you remember being up on stage like this, singing like the kids did this morning? Get your hands up at home too. I know y'all are watching. Now, I still love singing. And back in the day, we didn't have these amazing like lights and sound systems. Like we had a pretty basic sanctuary and had stained glass. This kind of gives you the image of what we're working with here. Now, when we were in there and we had to sing along to songs, we had cassette tapes. Who remembers cassette tapes? Come on. Yeah, we'll clap to that. Who has a cassette player in their car still? So, yes, Gene and Warren. Good for you guys. That's amazing. My kids don't even know what a CD is. Anyway, so a cassette tape I can't talk this morning. Okay, so we have these cassette tapes and we listen to them. And then on Sunday morning, like we didn't have a sound system. We had like one speaker with one microphone. And so who had a boombox growing up? Right, the big old boom boxes. And so we had one of those like boom boxes. You know the really big ones where the speakers would like come off and you can move them? Like we did that. And we put the cassette tape in and we'd close it and then we would, y'all are good. I mean, some of you, we'd get it, we put it in there, we'd close it and we would, there it is, we'd press play. Now, what would you do if you made a mistake? Right? Well, I also remember the pause buttons? Like at the end, like you could pause, and later models, like in the late 80s, not the early 80s. And so, yeah, you'd have to stop it, rewind it, and then if you want to listen to another song, you'd have to like pull it out and flip it. Remember that? Yeah. Pull it out, flip it, and reverse it. That's probably a lyric to song. Anyway, so, I shouldn't have said that. Okay, so this is the boombox, and I remember pressing play and listening to these songs over and over and over again, and we'd make mistakes. And we'd have to rewind, or we'd hit pause, and we'd flip it around. And all these things. And so this week, it reminded me of that because the theme of camp this week was, we're going to do this a lot today, so get used to it. Okay, so we did this with the kids. And just so you know, during the week, they sang, and I have video on our Facebook page to prove it, but on Sunday mornings, they get shy up here apparently. So we turn the lights on really bright so they can't see you all, but it doesn't work. But this week has been all about pressing play. Now, what does that mean, pressing play? What we mean by pressing play is we're activating, right? So the language this week was, I am confident that ... right? So I can be confident because I am loved or because I am accepted, or actually, this is why I have notes. I'll tell you exactly what they talked about. Okay, so day one, that's last week's sermon. Hey, Amy. In my office. So last week, while I'm stalling, I'm in the back, and I was meeting with somebody before church, and we're having this conversation, and I don't know if everybody knows me, but I love to talk. And so I'm talking, and I talk way too long, and so I come in here, and I'm standing in the back, I'm getting ready to come up, and I realize that my sermon's not up here. This is last week. And also, I have a Bible, right? And in the Bible, because I'm old and I can't see the words because they're tiny words, I print out, what are you looking for? No, I got a whole sermon coming. It's good. It's in the bin, Amy, on top of the file cabinet. So So I have old man eyes, so I had to like print out so I can, because I can't read all this, but I can read this. And so I'm standing in back with like 30 seconds, and I'm like, oh no, I never took my sermon up there. So I ran to my office, and I have like 1,700 Bibles because I collect them, and I pull a Bible out, and I quickly put it in there, and I brought it up. So this morning I'm like, what did I say this morning, Amy? This morning I walk in and I put my sermon back there, like, Amy, do not let me forget to put my sermon up there. So she reminds me about 10 minutes before service starts, and so I go and grab it. And I remove what I think I remove the... Maybe God's telling me something. Don't give this sermon. No, I'm just kidding. How about I just hold it? That's last week's. Okay. Anyway, so here it is, day one. We talked about I have confidence because I am known. And we read a story from John 10. We read stories to the kids about Jesus this week. And so we find those stories in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're the beginning of what we would call the New Testament in the Bible. And we read about Jesus and his excursions and all the things he did, his travels, and a lot of his teachings. And so in John 10, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, right? And you are to know me and I know you. And so the kids learned that they are known. And if they are known, what are they supposed to do? They are to then know others and to also know God, right? This is the greatest commandment, to love God, to love others, to know God and to know others. And so day two, we talked about how we can have confidence because we belong, right? You see in these big banners up here, included, accepted, and loved, that inclusion part, that we belong, that we are a part of something that is greater than us. And we talked about the story of Jesus and his disciples and how he called his disciples. And now he didn't just call like the good people. You would think when the Son of God comes to earth, he would call maybe pastors or religious people to be a part of his team, and this is not what Jesus did. Jesus actually chose the people who were hated, like tax collectors, to be part of his team. And he did this, and this is a paradigm shift for people. And so Jesus was doing that on purpose. He's making it a point to include everybody, and the kids learned that. Day three from John 15, that we are forgiven. It's good for us to know that we are forgiven. It's even better for us to know that we can forgive others, right? Because God forgives us. Day number 4, we talked about how we can change, and we told the story of Zacchaeus. Who remembers the story of Zacchaeus? What was Zacchaeus? Yeah, that's what it is. And a wee little man was he. That's from Vacation Bible School. Some of you are sitting here like, I've never been to church. I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, there's a story in the Bible about this little guy. He was a tax collector. And he couldn't see very well. He wanted to see Jesus, so he gets up in a tree. And we had a lot of fun with that. We had a air guitar competition. You saw some of the video footage. My son, who's back here on this camera, did great. Laura Tacky, she's a teacher in the school district. Do not let her fool you. She is wild. It was so much fun. Anyway, so we taught kids that they are forgiven and that they can then forgive. And then day number 5, and where I want to focus a lot today, is that day number 5 was that we can make a difference. We are confident because we have the ability to make a difference. And we're going to get into that. But we try to go along this progression of that we are loved, we're included, we're forgiven. And once we acknowledge that and once we know that, it is then our job to go out and to do those same things, to share those same things with people, that they are also loved and included and forgiven. And then to forgive others. And that's the point of being here. So we try to move along that transition. And what we tried to do is say that pressing play was moving along that path. That every day we can choose to love people. Every day we can choose to include people. Every day we can choose to forgive others. And so pressing play is like this activating thing inside of us. And it gives us confidence, and it helps us to know who we are because we are loved, included, and accepted. And it helps us to be that for other people. And so pressing play is that. Now, how many of you, I think this is our nature, but how many of you like to press pause? Like in general. Like I know you don't have boom boxes anymore, so you can't, but come on, man. That's funny. Boom boxes, press pause. Okay, no, it's not. All right. So, how many of you in life feel like you're just overwhelmed and like you just want to hit the pause button? I hear that a lot. I meet with a lot of people who are struggling, who we kind of hit pause for like, I don't know, a year. Some of us are still in pause. I mean, but what I hear is even after that long pause, guess what's not working? No, hitting pause. Pause isn't working, but I think our default is that we are in that space of like, we need to pause, we need to slow down. Now, don't hear me wrong. I do believe that there are certain things, we call them spiritual practices, that we need to be doing every single day of our life, like reading, prayer, contemplative time, meditation, where however you describe that, we should be making time every single day, not just Sundays. Sundays are a time to be excited and hopefully that you learn something and that we're about the community and we do something together. But you're responsible for that regeneration time. Now, for me, it's in the mornings. Any morning people in here? That's a no. Nobody said a word. Nobody's a morning person. Okay. Well, if you're, whatever it is, find part of in your day to hit that pause button. What I'm talking about is like big pauses. When I talk to a lot of people, like, I just want to put life on hold for a minute. Do y'all ever do this? Now, does life do that? No. How many of you are in our house? I'll use my family as an example. Here, where's Brian? Where's Brian? You're not Brian. Brian was just on the camera. My son's not in the room. Fine, I'll ask Kira. Kira, how many days till vacation? 29. There, see, she knows. Whew, that was risky. Okay. I knew Brian knew. So 29 days till vacation. This is something we say in our house all the time. Now, why do we say that? Are vacations magical? Not when they include a dance competition. I can tell you. I think sometimes we get into this mode that we think, when we get on vacation, everything's going to be better. Now, what happens when you go on vacation? What happens to the work? You work like 80 hours the week before, you work 80 hours when you come back, it just piles up, right? And some of us get anxiety while we're on vacation about these things stacking. Do you guys do this? About these things stacking up? But I think sometimes we rely on vacations, or how about working for the weekend? That'd be a good song, huh? How many of you feel like you just work during the week just so you can take a break on the weekends? I posted this thing on Facebook a few weeks ago where it said, our bodies aren't tired. It may feel like our bodies are tired. And trust me, my body feels tired today, but we'll get back to that in a minute. But it's not our bodies that are tired. They might be tired. But what's really tired, when we're talking about systemic exhaustion amongst all people, when I sit down with people like, I just want to push pause, what I feel like is that there is something spiritual in our nature, something in our soul, something to our core that's not being rejuvenated. Now, do you know I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago. You know what the number one leading cause of early death is? It's not cancer. It's not smoking. It's not stress. It's not obesity. It's isolation. Isolation is the number one leading cause of early death in people's life because we are disconnected. And I think that we're feeling this anxiety right now. We're feeling this pressure right now because we are not connected with each other. We've lost a lot of the connections. We're more connected than we ever are, but we think that pressing pause is the solution to our answer, to our problem, answer to our solution. It's a good thing I don't speak for a living. Okay. I want to make the argument this morning that is the exact opposite of what we should be doing. Because I think a lot of us push pause on the important things of life. Our spiritual renewal time, our community time. And we sell ourselves short when we get super involved in all the other things of life. But what are we doing for our souls? And what are we doing for the souls around us? And what I want to encourage you to do today is to press play on that. We've all taken this big pause and we're going back to life and things are coming back to normal. And everybody's like, no, just hit pause again, just hit pause again. And I'm like, that's not the problem. You paused for over a year. The problem is something inside of us is yearning, it's longing, it's wanting something else. It's wanting true connection. We'll get back to that in a minute. But do you guys struggle with this? Do you feel like that's where you're at in life? I feel like that's where I'm at. Now, what did Jesus do in these situations? Jesus went from town to town, and of course, he didn't fly, he didn't have a car, he didn't have a horse. Jesus and his disciples walked from town to town, and he taught in homes, and he taught in synagogues, and Jesus from time to time gets tired. And a lot of people don't know this, Jesus gets grumpy a few times. One time, a woman tugs on him or trying to get his attention, and he's not had a good day. And he refers to her as a dog. And she's like, but Jesus, even dogs get scraps from the table. And he's like, ooh, you're right. Even Jesus was exhausted. Even Jesus got a little irritable, right? But that's the point of God becoming human. That Jesus was the human incarnation of God, and he experienced all the same things that we did. Like these things that we experience aren't unique to just us. God also experienced, so he knows. And so he taught us ways in which to deal with this stuff. So Jesus is traveling from town to town. He's exhausted, right? He's going through life, and he's tired. And I want to read from Luke 15. So on our last day, the point of we can make a difference, Jesus is exhausted, and so he's come up to this point in his ministry where he finds himself teaching and preaching almost on a daily basis. Now, you need to know that Jesus, we read about him taking time apart, and he would go and pray, he would go and reset, he would go and he would take small pauses, right? But Jesus never paused everything in life and stopped his ministry. He went from town to town to town. He kept connecting with people because he knew how to recharge. So he's exhausted, and so Luke 15, to start at the very beginning. It says, by this time, a lot of men and women of questionable reputation were hanging around Jesus. Now, how many of you were taught that Jesus hung around questionable people? People with questionable reputations. I don't feel like I was taught that. I feel like when we read about, anyway, as kids at least, like when we're telling stories about his disciples and stuff, and his disciples were not liked people. These were not well thought of people. I mean, it actually says they were people of questionable reputation. And so they were hanging around Jesus, and they were listening intently to him. The Pharisees and religious scholars were not pleased, not at all pleased. And they growled, he takes sinners and eats meals with them, treating them like old friends. And it says that their grumblings triggered the story. So Jesus is tired, Jesus is exhausted, him and his disciples are traveling from town to town, city to city, home to home, and they're constantly attacking Jesus. And so what Jesus usually did in these situations was he taught. And how did Jesus teach? Through stories. Jesus had a story for everything. Now in this case, he had 3 stories. So he's inviting people into a place. They're like, listen, Jesus, we're all tired, we're all exhausted, and these people, why are you spending time with these people? Spend time with me, spend time with us. And Jesus is like, you don't get it. That's not what it's about. It's not about you. Now, how many of us think it's about us? You don't have to raise your hand. But we do this, right? Our ego, our self, it flares up and it does ugly things, and we think life's about us. And so he tells this next story. He says, suppose one of you had 100 sheep and lost one, right? So, for us in this context this week, say we had 100 kids and we lost one. Like, that's a pretty good track record. So, I'm just kidding. We wouldn't lose your children again. Wouldn't you leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the lost one until you found it? And when found, you can be sure that you would put it across your shoulders, rejoicing. And when you got home, calling your friends and neighbors saying, celebrate with me, I found the lost sheep. Jesus tells that story. So the story he's telling when he's exhausted and he's tired is he's saying the way in which we deal with this and the way with which we deal with people who are giving us a hard time and discounting the things that we are doing in life, he says the way we deal with this is we don't pay attention to the 99%. Now, how many of us spend a lot of our time after the 1%? Who knows the 80-20 rule? You've heard of the 80-20 rule? Like 20% of the work takes up 80% of the time, or 20% of the people at a corporation do 80% of the work. There's this 80-20 rule. Jesus is like, if there's 100 things, he says, don't focus on the 99 things, or the 99 people, or sheep, or whatever the analogy is. He's saying the important things of life lie in the one that's out there, the one that's not here. And then he tells a story about coins, right? There's 3 stories, and they all link together. He tells a story about coins. Like if you had 10 coins, he's trying to get his point across. If you had 10 coins and you lost one, wouldn't you spend time looking for it until it was found? And the third story he tells is the story of the prodigal son. Maybe a lot of you have heard that story. One son wants his inheritance. He goes out and he blows it all on gambling and prostitutes and whatever else. And he comes back and they celebrate. And they throw a party, and the other son's like, "Jeez!" Or he goes to Dad, what are you doing? And the dad says, you know what? Our focus is here. What I have is yours. Your brothers come back. So Jesus takes it from 99 to 1 to 10 to 1 to 1 and 1. The point of those 3 different stories is that when we're tired and when we're exhausted, it's easy for us to get caught up and all this stuff over here, or focusing on the people that are immediately around us. The direction that Jesus invites us into, the model that he gave us, he says, no, not that. Not over here. Don't push pause to just get wrapped up in what is going on here with your people, the people who look like you, who sound like you, who talk like you. He's like, it's about this over here. And that's counterintuitive to how we think. It's about the one sheep. It's about the one coin. It's about the one brother. You see, Jesus is inviting us to focus our attention, our energy, and our effort on the ones who are not here or a part of this group. So I think when we're tired, when we're exhausted, when we want to hit that pause button, and we want to withdraw, what do we do when we withdraw? We have this tendency to just hang around people who are like us, who look like us, who sound like us, right? We draw back into our own circles, into our own paradigm. We stop reaching out. I believe pressing play, pushing forward, the life that Jesus invites us into, causes us to reach outside of our circle, into other circles, to intentionally go after people and things that don't seem like they are part of us. I'm going to say that again. Jesus invites us into a space where we are actively pursuing people and things who don't look like us, sound like us, or act like us. He says that's the focus. And when we get tired, when we're out of energy, when we think we need to pause and pull back and withdraw, Jesus is like, no, that's where we lean in. That's where we reach out. The focus is outward, not inward. You see, the way we recharge is by focusing outward, by helping people, by loving on those around us. Pushing play looks like reaching out to those in our community, and that is the way that our souls recharge. If you're exhausted, I'm not telling you you have to go do a bunch more things. What I'm telling you is look at your life. What are the things that you are doing? Are you doing things that are life-giving, or are you doing things that are taking your life away from you? Are you spending time? I think the best way is by spending time helping others. The whole point of what Jesus is saying is, and others who aren't like us, who don't look like us or sound like us. That's the space Jesus is inviting us into. That's the thing that recharges us. That's where our focus needs to be. And so every day when your kids were here, when we're talking about we are loved, we are accepted, we're included, we're forgiven, each day we didn't just tell them that. We didn't just say these things and read a scripture to them. We showed them what that looked like. So every day, on Monday, you are known. We took the kids and we made tie-dye pillowcases, and these pillowcases go to kids in our foster care system so that they can put their things in them. A lot of them don't have bags. They don't even have their own bedding, their own stuff, and so they move from house to house to house. And these little tie-dye pillowcases are something they can take with them from house to house to house. You see, we're showing them to go focus. The way you recharge is to focus on others. That people belong. We took them out to our community garden, told them about our community garden. We told them about our summer lunch program. A lot of you have asked me about that. Last year, 2 years ago, we kicked off a summer lunch program where we're feeding kids in the Blue Springs School District who are on free and reduced lunch. And the school district teamed up with us, and we've been going to neighborhood to neighborhood. And the school district came to us this year and said, hey, we want to do breakfast too. And so now we're doing breakfast every single day of the week. Well, Monday through Friday. And our lunches have doubled this year over last year. We took them into our food pantry and showed them what our food pantry looks like and how that is there in place to help other people. And then lastly, we made bags or little gift care packs for people in a local nursing home. These are all things where we are going after the one sheep or the one coin. Jesus is inviting us into that space to push forward, not to pull back. If you want to recharge, if you feel like inside, if you feel tired all the time, I mean, yes, you might have a lack of sleep. That may be a thing. There's some practices in your life you can do that. But what I found is during COVID, people started sleeping more, and they're still sleeping more, but yet they're even more tired. What's going on is your soul is not recharging. The way we recharge our souls is through what? Through connection. And not just connection with our neighbors or our family or those who look like us. True connection is connection with people who don't look like us, who aren't a part of our groups, who aren't a part of our circles. See, that's the place where we recharge the most. When we help those who could never repay us. I want to invite you to be a part of any of those 5 things I listed, whether it's a summer lunch, or whether it's a community garden, whether it's part of our food pantry, whether it's making pillowcases for kids. These are all things that we do as a community to reach out to those who are marginalized, to the poor, the orphan, the widow, the people who feel like they're less than. And that is where we focus. Sometimes I get people come to me and say, Mike, well, what about me? We love you. But if you're here, your job is to focus on the one. That is the example that Jesus set for us. As you think on ways to do that, feel free to email myself or Amy, or reach out to us on Facebook or through our website, through our email. But as you think on ways in which you can press play in your lives, in your kids' lives, in your communities, let's go to God and ask for help. God, we thank you so much for the opportunity to press play, to move forward, to press forward, even when we don't feel like it, when we feel like pressing pause. God, it's so easy for us to do that. Help us to see that there's opportunity all around us. God, help us to love on those who are unloved. God, help us to focus on the other, on the one. God, it's so easy to get wrapped up in our own world, to get wrapped up in our camps or our tribes, the people who sound and look like us. God, help us to choose something different. God, and as we do those things, as we endeavor, though, I just ask for regeneration. I ask for your Spirit to recharge us. God, help us to press play in all the different aspects of our community. And it's in your name that I pray. Amen.
I invite you all to stand up for our last song.
Since when has impossible ever stopped?
press play in our different circles and our different communities, and may we join together in the parking lot for a meal right now after church. Go in peace. Amen.